Hey guys, so I wanted to pop on here for a little bit and talk about my writing and my books and what made me start writing, and why I pushed to actually publish my work. But first, Little Man wanted to jump on and say hi.
Hi.
You want to say anything else?
Um, my mom really likes to illustrate.
I don't illustrate, I write.
I mean, she writes.
Auntie's the one that can draw. Mommy can't,
Why?
because I just can't.
I draw.
Oh, keep your band-aid on. So, for those that don't know, I released the first edition of my paranormal novel on Mother's Day of, I believe it was 2016. Oh, mom says hi.
Hey.
So this book was the first book that I've ever actually finished writing, and
I'm playing outside.
it started out as a act of boredom.
With blocks.
I was bored.
Hello.
Stop. I was bored one day and I had my laptop nearby, so I grabbed it and opened it and started typing. I had no plan, no idea what was coming from it, and about 6 months later, I had a full book. I wasn't originally going to do anything with it. I just wanted to write, and it ended up turning into my first publicly released writing piece. I had never actually really released any of my writing other than a couple poems here and there that I had posted on my Facebook through high school. And now, 3 years later, the book has gone through a major transformation, a couple little transformations throughout. But I started writing when I was a kid because it was the easiest way for me to... I think he's trying to eat my arm. Yes, I do feed him. He just had lunch a little while ago. Stop it. But, so where was I? Joey. It was the easiest way for me to get through difficult times in my teenage years. I would grab a notebook and a pen and I would start writing poems. I had started out when I was a kid writing little songs that really didn't make much sense. I had a friend when my family and I lived in South Carolina who was helping me to better my songwriting. And then tragedy happened one day and we lost him. I, after that, wasn't able to write anymore. I wasn't able to write songs anymore, and I almost stopped writing poetry altogether. But then a few weeks after we lost that friend, I had a dream about him where he just appeared in the dream, and all he said was, "Don't give up." And ever since then, I have made that my life motto. So I started I couldn't write songs anymore, but because he didn't want me to give up, I didn't. I switched from writing songs to poetry, and then I started writing short stories. I have a few other things that are in the works that I've had in the works since I was in middle school. A couple young adult books that I plan on hopefully eventually getting to finish once I'm done with The Descendants. But I've also got, as my mother would probably tell everybody, I have to hurry up and get book 2 of The Descendants out. My mother being the first person to read my book, she's been on me for the last 3.5 years because she read it about 6 months before it was released, to finish writing the sequel. And she keeps yelling at me every time I mention anything about my books or my writing or something that's distracting me from it, that I need to finish the book already. I actually have my father-in-law who read my book and has been yelling at me every time we see him because I keep telling him that I haven't finished the second one yet.
I have a piggy bank full of money.
But also, I have a poetry collection out.
Do I even still have money?
Yes. A poetry collection out that I released initially 2 years ago, right before we lost my grandmother. That was actually my last conversation with my grandmother, was about the poetry collection releasing and how proud she was of me to actually to be following my dreams and pushing my writing out.
My mom actually didn't do that.
And pushing my writing out to other people. The thing that's pushed me to actually go from just writing into my notebooks and showing them to my mother or my friends, my sister, is this little one here.
Black Panther!
My dream has always been to walk into a bookstore like Barnes & Noble and see my work on the shelves. And I wanted to show this little monster that no matter what life throws at you, you can achieve your dreams. So I am slowly, very slowly, but still going, working towards that dream. And so I wanted to show you guys the transformation that my book has taken. I actually have three different paperback copies of the book. See, everybody thinks you're cute. That's what they're all saying.
Cute, 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 cute. Mom, who's that?
That's Mommy's friend Becca.
Becca?
Alright, so this is the original version. This was just a basic cover that I had thrown together to release it real quick. With the back. And it's a very thin book. It doesn't take too long to read, as some of my friends have pointed out. But it was a great read, according to them. So that was the initial one that I released on Mother's Day, 2016, I believe. Then this was a proof copy of how it was supposed to be released last summer. I ended up changing cover designers, because while this is a lovely cover design, this isn't the way I had envisioned the cover for the first book. But it is an amazing look for it.
When did you have those glasses on?
That picture was taken when I was in high school, Joey. And this is the version that's available now. This cover was designed by, I'm probably going to totally trash the pronunciation of her name, but by one of my friends, Veronique Poirier, I believe is the way how you pronounce her name. I've been friends with her on Facebook for a couple years, and
What's the picture on this one?
And didn't realize that she did cover designs until I happened to be scrolling through my newsfeed one day and saw a post from her. And I looked into some of her work and fell in love with her stuff. So I contacted her about redoing the covers for Divine Royalty. She is also going to be doing the covers for the second book and the third book, because this is a trilogy, or will be a trilogy. So all of them will be going along like that. Hold on. Joey wants to show the interior of the books. So, hold on. Start from the beginning, Joey. The first edition of the book was very poor. I ended up accidentally publishing the unedited version. So hold on, Joey. I'm trying to do this one-handed because I don't have anything to hold my phone up. So it doesn't even have chapters. I ended up having, I didn't even realize that it hadn't been broken down into chapters. There isn't even page numbers in the initial print. And then this is the interior from the second edition, with the formatting from the same cover designer that did this cover. This one is broken into chapters with page numbers. And this is how it looks now, thanks to my formatter, Rebecca Weeks. Actually, I believe her name is Rebecca Garcia now. She got married last year. This is the title page with the dedication.
Mommy, I'm going back outside now.
All right, Cal.
Can I have that blue gun?
No.
Why?
And it's this one's broken into chapters as well. Which
This
makes
one's the best, though.
which makes it a lot easier to read, because it's a lot easier to remember where you were. And she did put page numbers in for me because I couldn't figure out how to get page.
Cool is because of the wings.
I couldn't figure out how to put page numbers in with my word processor that I have, because I don't have Microsoft Word. I use OpenOffice, and I couldn't figure it out. So my formatter was nice enough to figure that out for me. You want to say bye so you can go play outside again? Bye! But so that is the transformation that Divine Royalty has taken. And yes, I am working on Royal Legacy, the sequel.
Can I have some chips? Chips?
No, not right now. You can go outside and play. But so that's the transformation Divine Royalty has taken. I would show you the transformation that the Poetry Collection Memoirs of the Lost has taken, but I can't find those books on right now. I think they got put into our closet, which is packed with boxes of all of our stuff from our storage unit that we just managed to empty out. But I figured while I had you all here, I would read you guys a live excerpt from the book. Joey was yelling at me for taking too long actually getting live, because I was scrolling through the book, flipping through the book, trying to find a decent passage.
And I got mad at my mom because I can't have chips!
Trying to find a decent passage to read that would give some insight into the book without giving away all the important stuff. Because I said so. Now put them back. Joey, you had lunch not too long ago. Knock it off. You're on camera. Remember that. I understand that. Now go play. You're on camera. Stop acting like a brat. Listen to your mother and go play. I understand what you want, and you heard me. You know the rules. See, everybody's even telling you to listen to mommy. Now go put the chips back and go play. Joseph, you are not starving. Now knock it off. No, Joe. Next time, ask for chips when you're eating lunch. Alright, so now that that is taken care of, so I've got an excerpt from a little while into Divine Royalty. And, oh, I just totally dropped my phone. Alright, so I've never actually read my book out loud. So this is going to be interesting. Please bear with me. I don't like reading aloud. Holy crap, wait, where was I? And now, of course, my mother's laughing at me. Alright. Good morning, Anna. Did you have a good night? She questioned me teasingly. Shay is the only person who would not freak out over the fact that I let Michael take me as his before we were wed. Seeing how her and I had... No. Hold on. Okay, hold on. No, that's not what it was. Wow. Alright, this was the page I was supposed to be reading. Michael opened the door at the end of the corridor to reveal a much expanded version of my favorite room in the castle. Oh, am I still here? Okay. So I just got a phone call in the middle of me trying to read that. So I'm not sure what's going on. I thought it disconnected the lives. So, but if you guys are still here, I will continue with my excerpt reading. Alright, so I'll start over from the beginning of that paragraph. Michael opened the door at the end of the corridor to reveal a much expanded version of my favorite room in the castle. The walls of the library were lined floor to ceiling with books, and all of the bookcases throughout the room were filled to bursting point. The room had been added on to. Before I left, there was only about 10 bookcases. Now there were almost 50. I stood in the doorway in awe. He pulled me into the room and over to a circle of lounge chairs, placed in front of a burning hearth. He laid down on a chair and pulled me down with him. Once we got comfortable, he picked up a book off the center table and started reading to me. I had always loved listening to him read. His deep masculine voice just made every book and poem sound that much more magical. The book he happened to pick up was the one we were reading when I left. He even started from the exact spot we left off at. It felt good being able to lay here with him and continue with our life as if the last 3 years had not happened. I knew if anyone was going to treat me like this, it would be him. He truly was the perfect match for me. My mother had arranged our marriage when we were 10. He was the eldest son of her favorite lord, so naturally he would be her choice to marry her heiress. We met at my 10th birthday ball when my mother announced our engagement. At first I was pissed that she would do this without even telling me. But then we danced. Our first dance was to my favorite song. In the entire dance he stared directly into my eyes. I, being the stubborn princess, stared right back. In his eyes I saw nothing but honesty and trustworthiness. He did not speak once until the end of the dance. He bowed to me and kissed my hand. Then he said, "I look forward to our next dance, my queen." And that is when my heart screamed at me not to let him go. After the dance, I had Lysa slip him a note telling him to meet me in the gardens. When he arrived, I was seated on a bench, staring up at the stars. He sat down next to me and just watched me in silence until I spoke. "Mother expects us to marry on my 15th birthday. That means we will have this year to get to know one another, and then on my 11th birthday you will move into the palace. You will have 4 years to get accustomed to palace life before our wedding. How do you feel about that?" I had asked him. "As long as it ends with you as my wife, I will do whatever your mother wants," he had responded without hesitation. "Why?" "Because our parents wish us to marry, and no one says no to your mother. But also because I have loved you since I first saw you 2 years ago at your sister's birthday ball. You walked in an hour late wearing a shiny blue gown. Your hair was messy like you had just come in from a ride on your horse to discover the ball, and your mother chastised you for it in front of everyone. You were angered and embarrassed, yet all I saw was beauty. From that moment on, I prayed From that moment on, I prayed that the goddess would bring us together. I had kissed him then, and from that moment on, we were inseparable until the night before my 15th birthday. So that's a little background on my two main characters, Anastasia and Michael, who are just about the only ones that you get a lot of background on in Divine Royalty. We find out more in Royal Legacy about Anastasia's sister Catalina and her love, Damien. So, if anybody wants to read that book, it is available on Amazon in Kindle and in paperback. I also have a few signed copies here at the house if anybody's interested. So you can let me know. And if you do order it from Amazon, I would love for you to let me know what you think and to post a review on there. When you post a review on books on Amazon, it helps the author get seen more. So I would love any help to push my book into more eyes. Thanks for jumping on here with me.